राहों ते पैर नहीं रखते मुकद्दरा दे लिखे हुए मिट नहीं सकते तैनू रब ने बनाया मेरे लयोए तैनू रब ने बनाया मेरे लयोए मथे तेरा नाम लिख के बूहे बारिया है बूहे बारिया बूहे बारिया है बूहे बारिया ते नाले कंधा तप के बूहे बारिया ते नाले कंधा तप के मैं आवांगी हवा बन के बूहे बारिया है बूहे बारिया है बूहे बारिया मुकद्दरा दे लिखे हुए मिट नहीं सकते तैनू रब ने बनाया मेरे लयोए तैनू रब ने बनाया मेरे लयोए मथे तेरा नाम लिख के बूहे बारिया है बूहे बारिया है बूहे बारिया बाजी इश्क दी मैं जित लूंगी सोनिया बाजी इश्क दी जित लूंगी सोनिया मैं रब तो दुआ मांग के बूहे बारिया है 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 बूहे बारिया.
So, thank you so much, Banat, for coming in today and playing for us and telling us about your music and your career. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Maybe just, can you start telling us a little bit about who you are and what you do here in Copenhagen?
Yes. So I'm Banat and I am a musician from Mumbai, India. And what I'm doing in Copenhagen is actually, my sister lives here. So I come to Copenhagen at least twice a year. And I love coming here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I'm here, I obviously try to play some gigs and I've been trying to do that since the first time I got here. So it's actually my third year coming back. And it's always just like right from the first time I got here, it's always been so incredible playing here. And I just want to say, like, the first time I came here, I think I met you. Mm-hmm. And I was we were at Mojo and I was performing at an open mic. And then you asked me if I'd like to come back and perform more often. I was like, yes. And then, then we started with like booking some gigs here. And yeah, honestly, like every time I come back and I play gigs and people come out to listen and they like it. And some of the best audiences I've played to ever. So yeah, I love coming back to Copenhagen.
Amazing. Så det Banat siger her, det er, at hun kommer fra Indien, og hendes søster bor her i Danmark. Og derfor så kommer hun ofte til Danmark. Og en en af de første gange, hun var her, der mødte jeg hende på et spillested, hvor hun spillede en koncert, og vi endte så med at begynde at snakke om at samarbejde, om at lave forskellige koncerter rundt om i København. Og hun elsker at komme og spille i Danmark, fordi hun synes, at publikum er super receptiv på og ligesom at de føler, at de får noget andet fra hende, end de er vant til at få. Nice. So maybe you can just tell us about how did you get into music? What was the beginning for you, and why did you end up with this style?
Yeah, so actually I started learning music when I was 5, and it was my grandmom who pushed me to pick up this instrument called the harmonium, and it's an instrument like an accordion, which has bellows that you kind of sit down and play. And the idea for pursuing the harmonium in the first place was that it's a very melodic instrument. And my grandmom thought I have a good voice, so I should pick it up so that I can support my voice while I sing. And I remember when I was younger, I used to hate it. I used to hate learning music. I used to hate sitting for lessons. But my grandmom pushed me to do it. And honestly, I'm so glad she pushed me to do it, because I wouldn't have been doing this now if I hadn't picked this up back then. But how I got to this is actually in the 7th grade. I got introduced by my cousin, I think, to Metallica. And that's when I decided that, the harmonium is not a cool instrument anymore, and I want to learn cooler stuff. So I decided to pick up the guitar, had a teacher come over and teach me, but a lot of it was also self-taught, because I just really was excited to learn the guitar. And then after that, I learned the piano as well. And yeah, that's how, music started for me. I've been performing since I was a child, but where it's come to now is actually a long story and a big journey, so yeah.
Yeah. Så den måde, Banat, hun startede med at begynde at spille musik på, det var faktisk, hun begyndte med instrumentet et harmonium, som er et meget melodisk instrument, som hendes familie opfordrede hende til at begynde at spille på, fordi at det kunne støtte hendes stemme. Men i starten synes hun, det var mega ufedt at skulle øve sig på alt det her teori. Men senere er hun blevet glad for, at hun gjorde det, fordi at ellers føler hun ikke, hun kunne gøre det musik, hun gør i dag. Og da hun så kom i 7. klasse, så begyndte hun at spille på guitar, for hun synes, det var et sejere instrument, og begyndte så senere at spille klaver. Så det har ligesom været en lang rejse, og som hun siger til sidst, så er der en længere, dybere forklaring på, hvorfor hun endelig præcis med den genre, hun er i nu. Nice. And so maybe we can tell us a bit more about then how you ended up with this style,
So when I was actually studying law. I'm a lawyer, and in my final, the second or third year of law, I was just, I like studying, but I was just not inclined to an internship or working anywhere. And all I would do is just go to open mics and play all the time. And I was also writing a lot back then. So that's how it started for me. Well, I was writing a lot of music, and I was in my teenage angsty phase that kind of went on till my 20s, I guess. Yes. And then in my final year of law, I decided that I don't want to pursue it. I wanted to pursue music full time. And I released an EP eventually, and I just kind of dived into the music scene as an independent musician. And my first EP, I think, was very well received, within the music community back home, with the independent musician scene. And I was doing a lot of gigs. But I think eventually what happened was that I just felt like I wasn't getting enough inspiration to write. I was not feeling satisfied with what I was making as well. And thirdly, there was a lot of pressure I think I put on myself for being perfect in whatever I was creating. And because of that, I kind of started hating music for a bit. And that's when I decided to revisit what I had left behind, which was the music of my culture, which is Punjabi folk music. And I remember when I started listening to it again and I started playing it again, I started feeling a lot of joy. And that's why I thought that I should play it like how I like it, with the guitar, and so that it just appeals to more audiences, and it was also making me really happy. And that's how I started making or composing Punjabi folk music in a more contemporary style. And that's how this started for me. And I'm actually really happy that I'm doing this now.
Ja. Så det, Banat fortæller her, er, at hun startede faktisk med at studere jurist, og men fandt så ud af på sit sidste år på studiet, at hun gerne ville gå fuldtid som musiker. Så hun kastede sig ud i at være independent artist, og lavede en udgivelse, som blev rigtig, rigtig vel modtaget, og begyndte egentlig at have en karriere som selvstændig musiker. Men begyndte så undervejs at føle et pres på ligesom at skulle være perfekt i alt, hvad hun skabte. Og følte måske, der var en eller anden form for mismatch eller misconnection i hende, som hun gerne ville dykke dybere ned i, og ligesom finde sig selv mere i musikken. Og der besluttede hun sig for at gå tilbage og afsøge sine rødder. Og det er sådan, hun endte med den stil, hun laver i dag. Nice. And so, where are you now in your musical journey? So are you out to get a lot of shows, or are you into recording right now, or both, or what's the...
Yeah, actually, I am really working on finally releasing a Punjabi folk album, and that's my goal next year. If not an album, at least 2 more songs. I did release one last year. It's called Dachi Walia, and that's actually the first song that I started listening to or performing when I got back into Punjabi folk music. But I think on my radar is definitely releasing more music. That's because it just interests me a lot more, just creating more and releasing more. And gigs are just, I will pick them up when they come to me. It's not something that I'm currently really seeking, but I do love performing here whenever I come here,
Ja. Så Banat fortæller, at hun har lavet et par udgivelser, og hun vil rigtig, rigtig gerne lave flere. Og så vil hun også rigtig gerne spille live shows, men hun gør det, når hun ligesom føler, at det kommer til hende. Og hun synes, det er rigtig, rigtig fedt at spille i Danmark. And you've played a few of my shows, but you're also into other styles. I know that you also do because I heard you do more. There was a remix.
Oh yes.
Yes. More electronic kind of.
Yeah.
And I also heard that you had a metal phase.
Yes, I did.
So is that maybe in the plans also to branch into other things, or you still want to stick mostly with the Punjabi thing in the future? Or what?
Yeah, I think switching to electronic is definitely on the cards for me. It's the kind of music that I've recently just I'm getting really interested in it. I never thought that I would, because it wasn't I didn't take it seriously before, but I see the impact of it now, and I really enjoy it myself. Yeah. So I think now that I do, I feel like the next step for me is, with all of these songs actually, is to work with people who can remix my songs. That's one. And then also possibly in the future getting into just making electronic music. I think that's definitely something I see myself doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Så her spørger jeg Banat omkring andre stilarter, fordi jeg ved, hun også interesserer sig for elektronisk musik, og jeg har hørt nogle remixes. Og spørger hende også ind til, fordi jeg ved, hun havde en metalfase, og hun siger så, at det er helt sikkert i kortene for hende, måske i fremtiden, at begynde også at gå i den retning, og hun har en interesse i også at branch ud i andre stilarter. Nice. And so when you write your music, do you have any specific kind of message in your music that you want people to receive from it, or is it just open for interpretation? Or
there's one thing that I just keep talking about even on my gigs, because I love talking, storytelling while I'm performing. It's because I do perform outside of India quite often, where people don't understand what I'm singing. But what I really think is beautiful about folk music is that it kind of transcends boundaries in terms of what it's communicating, because it's communicating about feelings and emotions and sentiments that are universal. And also, I feel like melodies are so simple that it's easier to connect with them. So what I'm trying to do with Punjabi folk music now is that I want to make it sound more like something that could transgress geographical boundaries, and which is why I collaborate a lot with international musicians on all of my songs. So the first song, I had a Scottish violinist who she's also she plays Irish fiddle, all of that. And I also had a rabab player from New Zealand who played on the track. And that's the plan for all of my future songs as well, to have international collaborations on it, just so that, the message goes out that music is not limited to one specific, just ears that understand Punjabi or Hindi or whatever, is for everybody that, would like to listen to it.
Ja, så det jeg får spørge om her er, om der er noget bestemt budskab, eller en eller anden form for sådan pointe, som hun gerne vil ud med i sin musik. Og her svarer Banat, at hun synes, storytelling er super vigtigt, historiefortælling er super vigtigt, og hun vil gerne lave noget musik, som på en eller anden måde transcenderer geografiske grænser, og kan være modtageligt for mennesker fra en helt anden kultur. Og derfor vil hun gerne samarbejde med artister fra alle mulige forskellige lande, og det har hun gjort på sin album. Hun har spillet med alle mulige forskellige instrumentalister, eller på sine udgivelser. Så det er en vigtig ting for hende i musikken. And so, how would you say the scene is different now? Because you collaborate with all these different musicians, different places. So, have you had an experience of the scene here being different and the scene in maybe wherever else you've been compared to like India?
Yeah. Well, I feel like, yes, there's a lot of difference, and which is why I think each time I'm back, I like performing here. And I think we've discussed this a lot of times in the past. I've discussed this with other musicians here as well, about how welcoming the scene is. It's almost like a community. Mm-hmm. And that's very rare, I think. Like, even from the first time I came here, I've always felt so supported by other musicians, and everybody's so willing to work with me every time I've reached out. And just, and like an international performer coming in and not singing in your language and still being accepted and heard by people here. Like, I would say the community, the listeners, everything is a bit more advanced, and I really enjoy that. It feels wholesome. And it feels like supportive of each other. And I think that's very different from other places I performed at.
Yeah.
Back home, it can get quite competitive because, again, there are too many people. There's also, like in New Zealand, I think a lot of it is just starting to form. It's very new. So, there's not much happening there. I performed in London and Manchester, where I feel like, again, there's too much happening for you to know enough people, and you really have to try and navigate. That's a bit stressful to navigate it because it's confusing. But it hasn't been like that here. So, and I think like it's a great scene here. Yeah.
Så det jeg spørger her om Banat har oplevet en forskel på de her forskellige scener, hun har været i rundt om, når hun har collaborated med andre mennesker. Og hun svarer, at hun synes, at Danmark er de steder, hun har følt sig bedst modtaget, og hvor scenen har været nemmest at ligesom lave connections med andre, fordi det ligesom er en meget venlig og sådan modtagende kultur, hun kommer ind i her. Hvor hun har oplevet for eksempel, at i Indien kan det blive meget, meget konkurrencepræget. Og så har hun oplevet for eksempel, når hun har været i England, at det har ligesom været, der simpelthen sker så meget, at det nærmest er forvirrende overhovedet ved, hvor man skal starte henne. Og at når hun har været i New Zealand, har det været sådan lidt mere, det hele er stadig sådan meget nyopstartet. Så generelt har været en kæmpe forskel på, hvordan det er at blive modtaget som musiker i de her forskellige lande. Men hun har i hvert fald haft en rigtig god oplevelse af at være i Danmark og blive modtaget her. Så det kan vi jo kun være glade for. So, when you write your music, you still kind of work alone when you write, and then you go into a collab after, maybe, correct?
Yes, so I prefer working alone.
Yeah.
So I've always preferred that, but I do think that collaborations are essential to make a good song, because you can't do everything yourself.
Yeah.
And it's something that I stand by, and I've learned because of like mistakes where I thought I could do everything myself, and you can't. You need to find a good producer to work with. I really think that objective opinion of someone else outside of the music that you're creating, because it's too close to you, and you don't bring objectivity there. So you can tell the producer what you like, and give them a direction, but they will give you a better song than I think you can create yourself. So I think it's essential to collaborate with the right people, even the right musicians, because you can't play all the instruments. So all of that, definitely. Like, I work myself in terms of what I want, but when it comes to like releasing music, all of that, then I seek the right collaborations for myself.
Ja, så det jeg spørger her om er, når hun laver de her collaborations med andre, samarbejder med andre, om hun ligesom arbejder selv med en sang først, og så kommer med den, eller hvordan det foregår, og der svarer hun, at ja, det gør hun, men hun synes, det er rigtig vigtigt at tage den til en producer, eller tage den til et andet menneske, der ligesom kan give hende et andet perspektiv på det musik, hun laver. Og hun føler, at så kan man få en langt bedre sang ud af det, fordi at man er for farvet, hvis man kun selv vurderer sin egen musik. But when you actually write your songs, are you like experimental with the way you do it? Do you sit there and like experiment with sounds and chords, or is it more like you kind of wait for an idea for a story to come to you, and like, or how you run to the instrument, or like, how is the process for you?
No, I need to sit. Which is why sometimes for me it's very frustrating writing music, because I take a lot of time to write it. Sometimes I've taken years to write a song. But I think for me that is important. I do need to sit and think because, you will have days and sometimes weeks of zero ideas. And then you suddenly have something that really works for you. And for that, I think you really need to get yourself to the instrument. Like you can't just be sitting and waiting for it. At least for me, it doesn't show up. So I just sit. And yeah, it's a painstaking process, but when it clicks, it feels like it's a culmination of all of these weeks of trying. So,
yeah. And you feel like you've given yourself to the music, kind of, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and it's kind of like me too.
Yeah.
Så det Banat svarer her, jeg spørger hende om, hvordan hendes proces er, når hun skriver musik, om hun ligesom sidder og eksperimenterer og kæmper og ligesom sådan afsøger af nye muligheder, eller om hun egentlig bare venter på, at der kommer sådan strøtanker eller inspiration til hende, som hun så løber hen til instrumentet og skynder sig at skrive ned, hvor hun svarer, at for hende er det ofte en proces med ligesom at sidde og kæmpe for det og arbejde med det og vente på, at det ligesom dukker op igennem, at man rent faktisk sidder og enten studerer eller ligesom dykker ned i musikken. Og at det så er en kæmpe lettelse, når man pludselig finder noget, at man så også føler, at man ligesom har givet sig selv til musikken, at alt det, man har siddet og lagt i det, lige sådan, at der kommer en belønning fra det. Og jeg svarer så, at det er også lidt sådan, jeg selv tit oplever at lave musik. Nice. And like, so where would you say that you would like to take this musical journey that you're on? I mean, you already have done a lot. You're basically touring around and... I mean, so what's what's next for you? Like, what do you want? If you look in the big perspective, what would you like to ideally do with this music? Or?
Yeah. What do I want to do with this music?
Maybe do some film music. Or...
Yeah. Well, so I think for me, a big one with Punjabi folk is that it gives me opportunity to go more commercial in India at least, because I will have more listeners as opposed to music that I was writing earlier, which was in English. So I'm hoping that I get more commercial opportunities through this music and see if I can possibly have my songs in movies and stuff like that. That is definitely one goal. But the the biggest goal I have currently with music is to really want to love it and to want to play it and perform all the time and work on myself and to learn because, I've had like all of these years in the past where I was just like creating and performing and there was pressure of like people listening and I feel like that's kind of skewed my perception of music and music has been such a big part of my life since I was a kid that I want to bring it back into my life as something that is just there, and something that I love doing when I wake up every morning. So that's like my biggest goal actually with music. But a financial or a commercial goal would be to get my music into films.
Yeah. Så det jeg spørger her om er, hvad byder fremtiden på? Hvad kunne Banat godt tænke sig at komme hen og gøre med sin musik fremadrettet? Fordi hun har allerede gjort ret meget og spiller jo i hele Europa og spiller i Indien og spiller i Danmark. Og så hvad skal der egentlig ske som det næste? Og det Banat svarer her er, at hun godt kunne tænke sig måske at få nogle mere kommercielle muligheder igennem det musik, han laver nu, fordi det netop transcenderer grænser, og for eksempel måske kunne have sin musik med i nogle film, eller på en eller anden måde at kombinere det med andres medier eller projekter, vil hun synes var rigtig fedt. Men hendes største mål er faktisk mere end det, at hun gerne vil connecte mere med musikken og finde tilbage til det der, hvor musikken er sjovt og spændende for hende, fordi man hurtigt kan blive sådan helt, at det kan blive et arbejde, og man kan ligesom tabe glæden ved det, når man gør det så meget hele tiden. Det kan blive meget fortærsket. Så det med at finde tilbage til umiddelbarheden og rent faktisk at være til stede i musikken og nyde musikken, er nok det vigtigste for hende faktisk. And lastly, I would like to ask, like, is there any good advice you have for other musicians from the journey and career you've had so far, other new musicians that are coming up, that you would say that you've learned that you can maybe share?
Yes. Learned a lot. One thing would be to the people who are just maybe getting into recording or writing new music stuff that they want to release. My biggest advice to them would be sitting with their music and just let it incubate for a bit. Play it a lot. Go out there, play open mics, play gigs, play the music at home. Just really know your song or your album or whatever it is that you want to put out before you go into recording. Because I really think that a lot of times we kind of rush into recording, and sometimes you put things out there that you will regret or you will not be satisfied with. And once it's out there, it's out there. You can't take it back. So that is like my top advice. And I guess the second one would be, don't put so much pressure on yourself to be perfect, because you're not making music for other musicians. Mm-hmm. You're making music for listeners. And I feel like that's a rut that I got stuck in when I was in the independent scene, is that I wanted to be respected by other musicians. And music is not for musicians, it's for everyone. So make music for everyone, not to impress your peers.
Yeah. Så det, jeg spørger Banat om her til sidst, det er, om hun har nogle gode råd til andre musikere for den karriere og den rejse, hun har haft indtil videre i musikken. Og hun svarer, at hun synes, det er rigtig vigtigt at sidde med sin musik, spille den rigtig meget, gå ud og spille den på åbne scener og så videre, før man går i studiet med den, fordi så kan man ligesom lade sangen tage form og virkelig vente til, man virkelig føler, at sangen er blevet genoparbejdet. Ofte kan det ske, at man går op på en scene, og en del af sangen faktisk først former sig, når man begynder at spille den live, så man skal på med at rushe en idé direkte ind i studiet og bare skynde sig at færdiggøre den, før den egentlig sådan... Nogle gange skal den lige have lov til at have sit eget liv og gøre sig selv færdig, før man ligesom siger, nu er vi klar til at optage den. Så altid lige vente lidt længere end for kort, før man ligesom går i studiet med sine idéer. Og den anden ting, hun siger, det er, at hun vil sige, at man skal passe på med at tro, at man skal være for perfekt, og at man ikke laver musik for andre musikere, når man er musiker, men primært laver musik for lyttere. Og at det måske derfor i virkeligheden er vigtigere at lave musik, der er lytbar, og som kommer fra et sandt sted ind i en selv, end det er at være den bedste tekniker, eller lave musik, som andre musikere måske vil blive imponeret af, hvilket man tit kan måske blive fanget i, fordi man jo gerne vil have, at andre musikere synes, man gør det godt, når det er dem, man hele tiden beskæftiger som det samme som dem. I think this is the interview. I'm so thankful that you came in today to talk about your music and your career. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been great to have you, and I can't wait to do more shows with you in the future here in Copenhagen and follow your journey. Where can we follow your music?
So I'm on all streaming platforms under the name Banat, Banat. And if you'd like to follow me on Instagram, my email Instagram handle is BEE. KAYBEE, right? So BKB, right?
Yeah.
Or you might even be able to find me if you type my name. But yeah, so you can find me there.
We'll put it also.
Yes, okay.
Så man kan følge Banat på alle sociale medier, og der kommer en masse nye spændende ting i fremtiden. Maybe let's end with a song.
Yeah, let's do it.
Så vi spiller en sang mere. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you so much.
Banat.
दिल दिया पैड़े कि मारदा है ताने वे मिलने में आई तेनू रोटी दे बहाने वे पिछ पिछे आंदा मेरी चाल वेंदा आई पिछ पिछे आंदा मेरी चाल वेंदा आई चेहरे वाले आ वेखदा आई वे मेरा लौंगा बच्चा पिछ पिछे आंदा मेरी चाल वेंदा आई पिछ पिछे आंदा मेरी चाल वेंदा आई चेहरे वाले आ वेखदा आई वे मेरा लौंगा बच्चा मेरा लौंगा बच्चा, मेरा लौंगा बच्चा निगाह मारदा आई वे मेरा लौंगा बच्चा दिन दिया पैड़िया की मारदा है ताने वे मिलने मैं आई तेनू रोटी दे बहाने वे रोटी दे बहाने वे दिन दिया पैड़िया की मारदा है ताने वे मिलने मैं आई तेनू रोटी दे बहाने वे रोटी दे बहाने वे मिलना ते मिलनी ते रुस जांगी सदा लाई मैंने तत करके मनाई वे हर जाई वे दिल लाई वे मेरा लौंगा बच्चा पिछे पिछे आंदा मेरी चाल बेंदा आई पिछे पिछे आंदा मेरी चाल बेंदा आई चीरे वालिया वेखदा आई वे मेरा लौंगा बच्चा मेरा लौंगा बच्चा मेरा लौंगा बच्चा निगाह मारदा आई वे मेरा लौंगा बच्चा निगाह मारदा निगाह मारदा निगाह मारदा आई वे मेरा लौंगा बच्चा 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 ha ha